views and opinions expressed on the MCS1 show are not necessarily the views of Vagabond Studios, This University Life, its affiliates, management, or advertisers. Live from Happy Valley Studios, this is the MCS1 show featuring Caleb Hennon. And now your host, the last free voice in America, MCS1!
Welcome everyone. Welcome back. Welcome to the MCS1 show. I am MCS1.
And I'm Caleb.
And we're back. This is officially season 2 of the MCS1 show. Thank you. And yeah, we have a lot of explaining to do about some stuff that happened.
Yeah, fun things.
Yeah, fun things. So let's get started. So first things first. We came up with all these New Year's resolutions of stuff we claimed we would do, and it didn't happen. We said we would do a new show a week, and it didn't happen. And here's why. So we were streamed on a website called This University Life Radio. And so I know the management fairly well, and they were streaming our show. And what ended up happening was one day they're like, "Hey, let's totally revamp our site, and let's make it more of a Pandora type thing to play music and not podcast." Yay! But not really. So that cut out my show, and I'm not real happy about this. So especially after Caleb and we had this great commercial that we made for This University Life.
Yeah, it was excellent.
It's amazing. In fact, we're going to play it right now. Here's what we made for them. Check it out. Hello, this is MCS1.
And this is Caleb.
And we are from the MCS1 show. We would like to give a public service announcement about words that cannot be said on the radio. So for your listening pleasure, we will now say all these words.
Words like
and shit.
Damn it.
Oh man, I was gonna say sucker.
Well, sorry, bitch.
Oh,
I beat you to the punch.
You motherfucker.
You fat.
You you hump stomping piece of shit.
Hey, that one kind of hurt.
Sorry.
That one was better.
Anyways, yeah, tune into the MCS1 show Wednesdays at 6 p.m. and Saturdays at 10 a.m.
Where you will probably hear none of these words. Or if you do, you'll just hear a giant beep.
None of these fucking words.
None of these fucking words.
This University Life. Express yourself. Just not the way that we just did. Don't be doing that.
Yeah, none of that.
Yeah, none of that. Yeah, isn't that amazing, people?
Oh, yeah. I mean, if you guys don't think that's amazing,
a lot of work put into that.
You definitely need to go back to school.
Yeah, so we definitely made that commercial for This University Life, but now that they're on this Pandora type setting, even if, they still had podcasts, they wouldn't have commercials. So we made that whole thing in vain.
Well,
Thanks, This University Life. Thanks a lot.
Well, this is me speaking for them. You're welcome.
Yeah. So, anyway, I talked with the management about this, my temporary cancellation, and after many threats that were definitely empty and open-ended, I ended up... we came to a good agreement, and so we now finally have the show on a blog spot that everyone can reach, and the new address for the show is the MCS1 show the MCS1 show.blogspot.com, and the one is the number 1. So if you want to go, you check it out, listen to shows anytime, there you go. Also, we've applied to have the show put on iTunes, and so it should be up within the next 2 weeks, is what they estimated. So we're hoping that gets up soon, and we're still going to be turning out new episodes all the time.
Yeah, just cross your fingers, everybody.
Cross your fingers. So today, this is our comeback special. Woo! Yeah. So, I have something that's been kind of upsetting me for a while. So... this is what we're going to start off with. This episode's topic is the unnecessary power that teachers have over students.
Mm-hmm. It's an epidemic, really.
Yes. And so for my opening remarks, I'm going to start off with a story I have. So I took a class last semester It was a film class where, you make your own movie and you do editing and stuff like that. And you make a production book with your address and contact information and all that lovely stuff. And I was a director on this project. And my film turned out really good. It was had a real French look to it, although that's not what I intended. But, okay. So I made this project. I turned it in a week early, and we watched it in class. I just didn't want to have to worry about it. It was finals.
It's a good idea.
Good idea.
Stay ahead of things, stay on top,
Yeah. And so I ended up going home for Christmas, and home is Iowa, and I currently go to school in Utah. So when I went home, I was actually worked a little bit over my Christmas break. It was awful and not fun at all. And so I wasn't really, checking my email all the time. And so I got an email from my teacher, and it was about 4 to 5 days late or whatever, this email. When I finally got it, it was kind of old. I was like, great. And so I opened up the email, and it said my final project was missing.
Remember how you turned it in early?
Yeah, I turned it in early. And so I'm like, oh, great. And he says, please call me as soon as possible. First of all, this production book that I turned in had my contact information in it. It had my phone numbers, my address, my email. But instead of him calling me to let me know, this is a pretty serious matter, he sends an email. First big mistake, when he clearly has my number. So I call him back, and he says, oh, you never turned in your final project. And I said to him, we watched it in class. I turned it in. Everyone saw it. And then he tries to blame it on me that he lost my final project.
Yeah, because that's your fault.
Yeah, it's my fault that he was stupid and lost it. And so he says, well, here's what I can do. You can either get someone to turn it in to me, or I can hold your grade. And I told him, I'm like, all right, you know what? Just hold my grade. I'll get it to you when I get back. And then as I hung up the phone on my way home from work, I realized not a good idea, because my financial aid will then be on hold, and I'll get that late because not all my grades will be turned in. And my GPA, wouldn't be configured. I wouldn't know how much money I would be getting for scholarships, and it just wouldn't be good. So I called him back, and I let him know that I would have a friend go do it. And I had a friend who volunteered to break into my apartment, find my DVD, go make a copy, and hand deliver it to him on Christmas Eve.
Wow.
It's ridiculous. And it's just really, this guy lost it. He assumed no responsibility. He tried to blame it on me. And it's just stupid, the unnecessary power that teachers hold over students. And so that's what we're going to discuss today. How, we place teachers on this great and wonderful pedestal, but really, they're important people. But I feel like they're abusing a lot of their power. What are your thoughts on this, Caleb?
I mean, especially, where we're both at the university level, I feel like it happens a lot more there than most other places. I mean, everybody has that one high school teacher that has it out for you. So just, talking high school first.
Yeah.
Mine was a guy named Mr. I had him for 10th grade history, and hated the guy. He was just an absolute jerk. It didn't matter what I did. There was a point. Okay, and this is kind of an interesting story. At midterm of one of my terms with him, I had a D+. Okay, and he said that I had
what class was this?
This was history, my 10th grade history class. I had a D+, and it's like I had turned everything in. Both of the tests that I took, I got really high scores. I don't remember exactly, but I got really high scores. And I felt like I at least deserved, about a B or a B+. So,
yeah, understandable.
At parent-teacher conference, my dad comes home, and I was working during it, so I didn't go with him, but he comes home and he shows me my report card, and I said, I know these assignments that he says I have missing. I know I turned them in. I absolutely 100% know, for a couple of different reasons, because every assignment in that class was a project, a group project. And everybody else in my group, I called a bunch of them that night, and I said, hey, what scores do you guys have on this project? And they all had, 80s and 90s
but
on the
had
stars.
a missing
but
grade.
I had a 0
What the?
On every single one of them. So
That
I
makes
went in.
no sense.
I told my parents about that, and I said, it doesn't make sense. I haven't missed a day of class. Like, my attendance in the class was 100%. I think I was tardy a couple of times.
Yeah.
Which it happens. You don't even know. Especially because this was one of those in the trailers classrooms, and I was like, okay, yeah. So I had to get way out there. He's already pissed at everybody because he works in a trailer. So
I deserve a real classroom. This is not what they said I would be having when I was in community college.
I don't even think he went there. But
Yeah.
anyway, and it was just like he withheld just so much of my grade, and it was just like, really, guy? And so I went in the next day and I told him, look, I'm transferring classes because I talked to my parents about it. And they said, okay, well, if this guy really does have it out for you, because they were pissed. They were like, you're going to be grounded for this.
Understandable.
And of course, I had a D in history, which is like the easiest class in high school. I think the only one that's easier is probably like either like foods or PE.
I took photography. That was really easy.
Was it? Okay.
But because the teacher didn't have us do photography stuff, and I just sat around and it was like a study hall, I learned a lot. Nothing.
I'm sure you did.
Yeah.
So what I did though, the next class period, I went in and I said, I know I turned these assignments in, and you know what? Since you don't want to give me a good grade, I'm transferring teachers.
Yeah.
And in high school, that affects your pay because if you lose students, then you're doing something wrong.
Yeah.
And so when I said that to him, he was like, oh, well, let's look over it. In 5 minutes, my grade went from a D to a B+. 5 minutes. I turned nothing in. I brought no new assignments in. All I brought was a sheet saying I'm transferring classes.
Yeah, that's...
So, I let him change it to a B+, and then I was like, well, I'm gone anyway. So,
yeah, that's ridiculous. Like, I totally can relate to that. I have a college teacher who did this to me at community college. Dun, dun, dun. Yeah. Like, you think community college, you would be able to slide by more with stuff like that? But no. They're just as bad there. And so...
If not worse, they have that complex of, I work at a community college, but I want to be tougher because, that way I can get into a university.
Yeah. I'm tougher on my students, so they'll be tough when they get to the university. Yeah, it doesn't work like that. It just upsets us. So, I had it was an English teacher. Man, English teachers are the worst, with this type of thing. Yeah, I love English, but I hate English teachers. And so I actually have 2 stories of English teachers from the community college and this unnecessary power they have. So the first one is, I should mention this. So first story, I took a class with my brother. It was an English class. And every time, there's a couple of things involved with this. Every time we came in late, he took offense to it. Like
it's college, buddy.
We lived 45 minutes away.
Okay.
We had to drive in the morning. Sometimes it was like really like we're from Iowa and it's really like the weather there is awful. And like one time we actually slid on like some ice and we got in a car accident and stuff. We didn't go that day obviously, but it was vicious. And so like every day we came in and he would just give us dirty looks. My brother was also kind of bad about getting up in the morning though. Well, so it was kind of his fault a little bit, but still this teacher has no right to give us a dirty look because like the way I'm looking at this, it's like the customer is always right.
Exactly.
It's we're the ones paying you.
Yeah.
I don't walk into like a store and then someone gives me a dirty look like, you're not going to buy these jeans?
Yeah, it just doesn't happen.
Yeah, that doesn't happen. Same thing with this college. It shouldn't happen. We're the ones paying you. You shouldn't have a right to depict what we do and what time we walk in because we're the customer. Well, it's ridiculous. Exactly that's one thing this guy was doing.
Right, and it's like at the university level or at the college level,
Yeah.
There's no attendance policy.
Yeah, exactly.
If I decide...
No. There is in the theater department where I go to school. If you miss 5 classes, you automatically fail, which is also crap.
Yeah, I don't know how much I agree with that. I mean, and I have, I take a lot of language classes, and a lot of your grade is participation, and it's fine. I can lose my participation for the day, and that's usually how they handle it. Is if I don't show up for a day, I lose like 5 points for participation, which is like not that big of a deal.
Yeah,
I mean,
but you don't
sucks,
fail.
But it's like, if I miss 5 class periods, it's just 25 points,
yeah.
and I can make those up if I participate in a different way.
Oh, exactly.
It's just they want us, and and I
And
understand.
I
where
had
they're
a
coming
teacher
from.
that did that
And
this
that's
semester in the theater department too.
and that's totally fine.
Yeah, and it's like, why can't there be like a little bit of a compromise here?
Exactly. And the thing is it's like, as long as I'm doing my work or something similar to what you're doing in a classroom, it should be fine.
Exactly.
I mean, if, for instance, if I watch, say, for using the language class example, let's say I watch a movie in a foreign language. So I'm spending my time listening to this movie. So I'm getting the experience of hearing natives, speak this language, and then say I write a report on it, or I give a report, I talk about it for 10 minutes in a class period.
Yeah.
Then I'm doing both the listening and the speaking, and it should and I've had teachers that have said that will count, that will earn you participation for 2 days.
Yeah.
It's like, and that's great.
And
I mean, I feel like if you miss a class, there should be a penalty, but it shouldn't be your entire grade.
yeah, and they shouldn't be offended if you walk in late.
Exactly. First of all, you're getting paid thousands of dollars by us,
Yeah, it's
and you're upset.
knock it off.
It's not like you're losing your money for that day.
Yeah. And so back to this teacher, because I have a lot to cover on these guys. So this guy, what he did was, it wasn't really an English class as much as it was a random political class. And so we read this book. Yeah. So we read this book by Newt Gingrich. And,
Really?
Oh, yeah. The MCS1 show is not a political show. But what he ended up doing was, there's a test in the front of the book to see if you're conservative or liberal, not a moderate at all.
Yeah, wait. Because that's like,
Just conservative or liberal.
well, most of America is pretty moderate.
Yeah, and so I took this test, and I was one question over into being a liberal. Like, if I would have answered a question differently, I would have been a conservative, not a moderate. And I consider myself a moderate liberal, if anything. And so what this teacher did was, since I was the only liberal in the entire class, and my brother was taking the class, he would try to pin my brother and I against each other. And my brother and I were completely different people, but it's like, really trying to pin us against each other on politics in a classroom for your own entertainment, and one, you failed at it because you suck at it. It's like, really, bro? Get a life. Come on.
Well, that's stupid. I mean, and that's the thing is, like, of course there's going to be differences, but, like, I don't know. Not to touch the political topic too much.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that, but that's the thing is that, first of all, the test is already rigged against you.
Yeah, I know.
In a lot of different ways, because if it's either one or the other, there's no gray area, which is where most people sit.
Yeah.
What about those people that were one question over on the conservative side?
Oh, yeah. And so,
I mean, it's the same. It's the same problem.
Well, they're conservative then.
Well, but not really.
Yeah, I know.
Not really.
In this classroom, they will be conservative.
You didn't even know.
So back to this very same teacher, I turned in a report about, obviously, this book, and I'm not the biggest fan of Newt Gingrich. I know he's running and all, but I don't really care for him. And so I wrote his views in this book. What I wrote was, from my point of view, basically to his point of view, was, I felt that this is a guy who had been sheltered, sleeping in a bomb shelter all of his life, sleeping next to a microwave, and everything foreign and different from him scares him. That was the impression I got from this book. The teacher told me, and his response was, and I got a lower grade on this paper, because he said, with someone as your limited experience with the world, you shouldn't be able to say it. It's like limited experience. I used to live on the streets of LA for like 2 years, all over the place. I have seen so much stuff. And he's trying to tell me that I have limited experience because I'm taking a class from him.
Well, I mean,
it's like if he's trying to
experience.
say like that I'm not like a real student, then by the same token, he shouldn't be a real teacher.
Well, and that's the thing is it's like
ridiculous.
If you don't consider your students real, then can you really be a real teacher?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And so, anyway, moving on. So I had another teacher. Like, obviously, you're always going to get English teachers that give you grades back.
Of course.
I had one. She was giving me grades back just because she didn't agree with me. And this was another English class turned political. I don't know what this trend was here. What's the deal? And
I don't know.
I don't even know.
Yeah, you don't even know.
You don't even know.
You don't even know like how political English teachers are. You don't even
and
know.
so she gave me one paper back because she said it was written from a communist standpoint of view. All she said. Didn't say why or nothing when I tried questioning her on it. And finally, I was getting a D. I had the same situation as you, Caleb. No joke. Getting a D- the whole semester. Got tired of her. I went in, I talked to her one day, and I said, look, this is ridiculous. And she goes, you know, Mark, I look at you as an A-B student. I go, well, that's because I am. Duh. And so I talked to her about stuff, and within that period, my grade went from a D- to a B+.
See,
no joke.
That just that
I didn't turn anything in. Same thing. Same thing as you.
That just doesn't make sense to me. It's like
I don't understand how it's all subjective and opinionated.
Well, and that's the problem. Is it's like especially when it comes to English classes, a lot of my experience as well has been if you don't agree with them, you're wrong.
Yeah.
And it's like that too with philosophy classes.
Oh yeah.
Like my ethics and values teacher was the same way, I had the same exact problem. But it's just like your own personal agendas or political swayings or whatever, your biases basically, your personal bias should not affect my grade.
Yeah.
If I follow the criteria and if I turn things in on time, and if I do exactly what you ask me to do, but my opinion or my way of doing it is slightly different than what you personally would do, my grade should not suffer. I shouldn't have to suffer because of your personal ideologies.
And that's what they're doing. Like I'm in a film program because I'm a film major, and all of it is like opinions and subjective. It's like, well, I don't agree with this, blah blah blah. Just because, and they give no concrete reason. It's just because, well, I don't like it, and I don't think people could get interested in it. Well, the class is interested in it. You're the only one who's not.
Well, and that's the thing is, a lot of times too with teachers like that, you kind of hurt their ego when your ideas become more interesting than theirs.
Yeah, exactly.
And that was exactly what happened to me with my ethics and values teacher. It was the same exact story. He would present ideas, and he would present things to us. And I would disagree with him, and I would bring up some point. And I would say something. And he would get frustrated and angry and upset, and he would take away my participation for the day.
Because you participated.
But I did. I was the only... And I participated. I rose my hand. I didn't do it disrespectfully. It's not like I interrupted him when he was talking.
Well, listen, bro. I got something to say.
Well, that's the thing. It's like I was like, you don't even know. I rose my hand respectfully. I listened to his little spiel. I listened to everything he had to say, and then I respectfully rose my hand, and I even said the words, I respectfully decline. I respectfully disagree with what you're saying. I think you say this, and that's fine, but what about the other side of the coin? And that's the problem. Is that I disagree with teachers that have their own agendas.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
And his big thing, it was really funny too, because his big thing was empirical evidence, and how according to empirical evidence, there's only one possible story of the origins of Earth, and it was like, and his ideology, just to get it out of there, was evolution. Was that evolution was the only possible way anything could have come to happen on this Earth, and I was like,
you don't even know.
And not like to bring in my religion to end this or anything, but I disagree.
Yeah.
And I had proof, because I have thought about this a lot. I've thought about the possibility of evolution, and the fact of the matter is, and I've thought about it a lot. I've actually done a lot of research on this, and according to my not just my and I'm not talking like, oh, in the Bible it says this. No, I'm saying according to scientific research, it is literally impossible in the time frame that we've been around for that to be the origin story.
Yeah.
For a couple of different reasons. I'm not going to get into that. That's not the point of the show. But I'm just saying.
But you've done your research, and you have stuff to back it up.
And that's the thing. I had done my research. I had thought about it a lot. I had things to say. I participated. But then I would check my grade online, and it would say, for the day that I rose my hand, I got a 0 out of 10 in participation. And it was all because I disagreed with him, and I proved him wrong.
Yeah,
and it's just annoying to me. It doesn't... it
He's not
shouldn't be that
accomplishing
way.
anything.
And you're really not. All you're doing is you're making people upset. You're essentially also, in a lot of ways, you're threatening your job.
Yeah.
Because I went the very next day. When I found out about that, I went and I talked to the guy's boss. And I was like, I really don't like the fact that your faculty member here is taking away from my grade because I had a different opinion.
Yeah,
and
that's
I talked about
ridiculous.
it. When it's like,
And like classes like that, you're supposed to, like, they're like, oh, celebrate, different ideas and stuff.
Yeah.
Except when it disagrees with mine.
yeah, and it's like, celebrate diversity, but not when it offends me.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, if you really want to celebrate diversity, you have to diversify.
Yeah, it's a one-way street with that.
Well, and it is, and that's and I think that's our main point today too. Is that it's like, I mean, it's fine, and I really don't care that he has an opinion. In fact, I'm glad he does.
Yeah.
Because I don't like it when people don't think about things and then they just accept what they hear. That's dumb. And this guy had done, he had searched, he had done some research, he had found some things. I just had a different opinion and I had found different things. It doesn't mean that he's a bad guy and I'm a good guy, or that he's a good guy and I'm a bad guy. It just means we
both have different things.
Well, and we both have different opinions. There's nothing wrong with that. And, and I think that's the problem. Teachers see that as a threat to their personal ego.
Yeah.
And then they have the power to take your grade away for the day. And it's just like, come on,
I'll
buddy.
show you.
Yeah, I'll show you. Goodbye, participation points.
Nothing you can do to me. You can't talk to my boss.
Well, and that's the thing, is that, like, I ended up, and this is the thing that really ended up ticking me off. I got an A- in that class, and I lacked 3 points to an A.
Ooh.
And I was like,
cool.
my GPA suffered because you didn't like what I said.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. Not cool at all. What one thing I want to mention is I talked with someone before the show, and I was telling them about our topic for today, and they shared a really cool story with me. And what happened is they were taking a writing class, and
Oh, English again, huh?
Script writing mostly.
Oh, okay.
But it's kind of the same.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah. And so what happened is every time, like, he would say something different, the teacher would get offended, or if it didn't fit into her point of view of thinking or whatever, and she would never apologize about it when she was wrong. If you didn't conform to her standard, you were just like out of luck. And so what my friend did was he went up and he talked to her, and he was trying to get her to do it, like, just be like, look what's going on, and she wouldn't go with it. He was trying to reach out. He's actually being like, he's a really genuine guy. And he's just trying to reach out, be like, what's going on? And she wouldn't answer him and was just like trying to put him in the wrong. So what he ended up doing, and this is what you have to do sometimes, which is really unfortunate and stupid, is like he just turned into a butt kisser because he had such a fear of getting on her bad side and having his grade ruined.
Right.
So he just had to, like, suck up to her because he didn't want to miss out and lose things.
And that's the problem too, is that, our
We
grades
shouldn't have to do that.
No, and our grades really do affect us.
Yeah.
Because what you receive in college lets people know in the working world what you're capable of.
Yeah. Well, depending on if you release your grades or not.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I.
But it affects things like, for me, it affects grant money.
Well, yeah. It affects
If
scholarships.
if I fall below a certain GPA, I
yeah.
would lose my grant money. If, like, I lost something because of a couple participation points because of a teacher, and I lost out on, let's say, $2,000
Yeah.
a semester because of that. Yeah, I don't want that to happen.
Well, and it could cost, in a lot of people's cases, it could cost graduate school.
Yeah.
And and graduate
that's
school,
a good point there.
It's a huge thing, and most graduate schools have a GPA, like a requirement, a GPA requirement.
Yeah.
For me personally, I'm trying to get into a school, and they have a GPA requirement of a 3.8. And if that class actually at the time dropped me down to a 3.79, and I was like, wow, thanks to 10 points. I brought it up since. I'm not still sitting on that 3.79, but I was like,
Yeah.
if this had been my last semester, that guy would have cost me my chance to get into the graduate school of my choice.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
And that's not fair.
Too much power.
Not to play the victim there, but it's just not. It's not fair to the student. And it's exactly going back to the customer thing. It's like going into a store and then somebody giving you a dirty look because you're not buying something and then basically saying, "Oh, you know what? Yeah, I'm going to take your money anyway."
Yeah.
And because I have your money now, you can't go to another store and get something that you actually want.
Exactly. It's ridiculous. But just for my final remarks, not all teachers are bad. Just throwing that out there.
No.
We're talking about the ones that abuse their power, the extremists. And unfortunately, they're coming out more and more in society. Their heads are popping up everywhere. And
there are great teachers out there.
Yeah.
There really are.
Yeah.
I've had my fair share of tons of great teachers.
Yeah. Last summer at college, I had great teachers. This semester, I'm happy. I'm very fortunate because I have all great teachers. But
that's lucky.
That's very lucky. Very, very lucky. But it's getting to the point where we keep getting all these awful ones, and it's tired of this abuse of power and the effect it's having on our society.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate.
Well, that's our show. Just want to thank Caleb for coming in today.
Anytime.
And season 2 has begun. See you, everybody.
Later.